Shabbat Shalom, Moadim L'Simcha. This past summer, my family moved just a few blocks away, but even if you only move a few blocks away, you still have to pack everything and unpack everything. And in the end, it wasn't actually much easier than our move a year ago from New York, because we also had COVID that week. So it was even more stressful of a move. But rather than evoking pity, I want to focus on how we moved and on what it means to make a home. First, the practical. How did we do it? The regular stuff: hard work, sweat, boxes and bubble wrap, a lot of tape, and thank God we had the help of professionals for the heavy lifting. And we also had the foresight to separate out two categories of items to move on our own rather than to send on the moving truck. First, our valuables, mostly sentimental items that are irreplaceable to us, so we wanted to minimize the risk of their loss. For example, photographs, documents, special books, heirlooms. And we also separated out what I'll call immediates, those items that we would immediately need before we can unpack everything else to feel at home, to feel comfortable in our new house. So a little bit of food, toiletries, a few changes of clothes, bedding, some Jewish ritual items, like a siddur, mezuzot for our doorposts, Shabbat candlesticks, and also the candles and the matches, because we'll never find those otherwise. I've been thinking about our recent move during this holiday of Sukkot because many of us made a new home just a few days ago. We built a temporary outdoor home, a hut, some would call it a hut, called a sukkah for the holiday of Sukkot. What makes a sukkah into a home? It starts out being wood and plastic and maybe some metal beams, some branches. What makes it into a home? So I'll say first, the people. We gather our beloved people, our family, our friends, our community, and we're still doing that in Bethel. We still have today and tomorrow to continue to gather in the sukkah for Sukkot. Second, we do home-like activities in the sukkah to make it like a home. Traditionally, we eat as many of our meals as we can, and we even sleep in the sukkah during this week-long festival. And here at Bethel, as much as possible, given the weather, we have held all events in the sukkah, if it's been possible, rather than in the building. Third, a sukkah is physically constructed, furnished, and decorated in some ways like a home. Our sisterhood volunteers beautifully decorated our sukkah, which is just right there, including with crafts made by our children, the youngest members of our community. A sukkah is a home in all these ways. But I'll say it's not exactly a sturdy home. It's not supposed to be. Rather, a sukkah is a temporary and fragile home by design. I think it's quite funny, there's a debate in the Talmud about how much wind a sukkah should be able to withstand. So they all agree that a sukkah should be able to withstand a regular gust of wind, your average gust of wind. But the rabbis disagree about whether a sukkah should be able to withstand an extra strong gust of wind. One side says no, if it can withstand a really strong gust of wind, it's actually too sturdy. And the other side says that's okay if it can withstand a very sturdy gust of wind. Because the sukkah should be an inherently fragile structure, but it also should be really a home. It's counterintuitive and a bit confusing, but essentially, during this holiday, our sukkah is temporarily our permanent home. And our actual home is temporarily our temporary home. They switch roles. So I'll say that again. One is temporarily permanent and one is temporarily temporary. We learned this from the Mishnah, which is a collection of ancient rabbinic law that was codified around the 2nd century. Kol shivat hayamim adam oseh sukkato keva uveto arai. All 7 days of Sukkot, a person makes their sukkah into their permanent residence and their actual home, their house, their bayit, into a temporary residence. Then the later rabbis of the Talmud ask about this law. Essentially, what? Ketzad? How do we do this? How do we switch places? How do we make the sukkah permanent and our homes temporary? So this is their answer. If a person has beautiful vessels, so vessels is a word used for utensils, eating utensils, drinking utensils, they take those beautiful vessels into the sukkah. And if they have beautiful bedding, they take that beautiful bedding into the sukkah. They eat and drink and relax in the sukkah and study Torah in the sukkah. In other words, the way to signify this switch or this transformation into a home in which we can eat and drink and relax and really live is to bring symbolic objects that will change the very nature of the space to signal that we are home. So I won't ask for an answer, but think to yourself, if you built a sukkah, did you take your most beautiful vessels? I'll translate that to be, did you take the good china out there and use it? Did anybody do that? Okay, I didn't think so. Did anybody take their most beautiful fluffy blanket and special orthopedic pillows from their bed and move it outdoors into the sukkah? I didn't see any hands on that one either. I didn't really expect them. That's a lot to ask. And these comparisons are admittedly exaggerated maybe, and definitely anachronistic. But my point is that our tradition teaches that we should go to great lengths to make our sukkah feel like our real permanent home. So like my family did during our recent move, for Sukkot 2, we pack up our most valuable, meaningful, necessary items, and we bring them with us first so that we feel at home as soon as possible. This intentionality and thoughtfulness can transform a place from a few fragile walls into a true home. And I'm going to take this one level further. So the Talmud's teaching about beautiful vessels and the beautiful bedding is also a metaphor, not only to guide us in how to set up our sukkah, but also to remind us what it means to make a place into a home. We might ask ourselves about our personal homes, and I especially urge us to ask ourselves about this home, about Bethel. Who are the people who make us feel comfortable and safe here? When do I feel connected here? When do I feel most present? When here in Bethel, in my home, when can I feel vulnerable? When can I let myself be vulnerable? What do I do here that keeps me grounded and rooted in my history and my tradition, and my Jewish identity? How is this place not just any place, but my Jewish home? I began my process of feeling at home here at Bethel even before I walked through those doors over a year ago. Rabbi Harris and Chazan Fradkin stopped by on moving day with big smiles and gifts to help turn our first rental here in Bethesda into a home. They brought thoughtful essentials like pasta and paper plates and utensils, and the chazan brought wine. That was very important. It was very much an essential. A group of Bethel congregants brought a welcome basket with home-baked challah and so many gifts I couldn't even list them. Baked goods and apples and candlesticks and a Havdalah candle and rainbow actual candles from Tzfat. So many uniquely Bethel goodies. On my first day at shul, so that was even before my first day, on my first day here at shul, 2 lay leaders brought me coffee and bagels first thing in the morning. The staff was so warm and generous in helping me to settle in and learn how to use all the technology and to learn everyone's names. In the past year, I have built a home here with you through prayer and through schmoozing and through celebration and through mourning together, learning and eating and dancing, which we will do on Monday night for Simchat Torah. We'll do more dancing together in the parking lot. It will be really a joyful holiday. I hope that we can all continue, or if we're not quite there, that we will all begin to make this shul truly our home. Using the metaphor of packing up valuables before our move, or the Talmud's advice to bring our most beautiful vessels and beautiful comforting bedding into the sukkah, I hope that we bring the most authentic and valued aspects of ourselves and our families and our histories here to Bethel. What do you want or need from our shul community in order to make this your home? If you don't have yet the experience or the group or the connection point that would be meaningful to you, please join us in bringing it here so that we can make Bethel a true home for you, and it can be a true home for all of us. Shabbat Shalom.